Hey, I was reading a document on plagiarism and its legal implications. There's a lot of important information. Have you got a moment to discuss it?
Sure, I'd love to. What did you find out?
Well, the document starts by defining plagiarism as using someone else's work without proper attribution. It includes different types of plagiarism, such as copying text word for word, paraphrasing without credit, and even self-plagiarism, where one reuses their own previously published work without citation.
Interesting. So, it covers self-plagiarism as well. What about the legal consequences?
Yes, it does. Plagiarism is not only an ethical issue, but also has legal ramifications. It mentions that plagiarism can lead to severe legal consequences, including imprisonment ranging from 6 months to 3 years, and fines between 50,000 to 2 lakh rupees. For repeat offenders, the punishment is even more stringent.
Wow, I didn't realize it could be that serious. Are there any specific examples mentioned?
Absolutely. It cites a few cases, like a South Korean researcher, Woo Kwang, who fabricated evidence of cloning human embryos. His studies were eventually retracted by the journal Science. There's also mention of several Indian academics who faced severe consequences due to plagiarism.
That's quite alarming. What about preventive measures? Does the document suggest any?
Yes, it does. It talks about the importance of academic integrity in original research. The University Grants Commission (UC) Regulation 2018 stresses intellectual honesty and mandates that research should be based on original ideas. The document also suggests using plagiarism detection software like Turnitin to curb plagiarism in academic submissions, plagiarism and legality.
That's good to know. How does it address ethical considerations in research and publication?
The document breaks down ethical principles in research, emphasizing honesty, objectivity, and integrity. It warns against fabrication, falsification, and misrepresentation of data. It also underlines the responsibilities of authors in preparing and submitting manuscripts, ensuring their work is original and obtaining necessary permissions for reproducing any content.
This is really comprehensive. What about the institutions involved in promoting research ethics?
The document mentions several institutions that are key to promoting research ethics, such as the Society for Scientific Values (SSV) in New Delhi. It also highlights the role of educational institutions in inculcating a culture of honesty and ethical research practices among students and faculty, plagiarism and legality.
This has been really insightful. Thanks for sharing all this information.
Anytime. It's important for all of us to understand the gravity of plagiarism and adhere to ethical standards in our work.
It's definitely something that everyone in academia needs to be aware of. Did the document mention any guidelines or frameworks for handling plagiarism accusations?
Yes, it did. The document outlines the procedure for dealing with plagiarism allegations. Institutions are advised to establish a dedicated committee to investigate complaints. This committee should consist of senior academicians who can impartially review the evidence and recommend appropriate actions based on the severity of the offense, plagiarism and legality.
That sounds fair. So, it's not just about detecting plagiarism, but also about handling it properly.
Exactly. The focus is on maintaining fairness and transparency throughout the process. The document also mentions that penalties should be proportional to the severity of the plagiarism. For minor infractions, a warning or re-evaluation might suffice, whereas severe cases could lead to expulsion or termination of employment, plagiarism and legality.
It's good that there is a structured approach. Did it provide any advice for students and researchers on how to avoid plagiarism?
Yes, the document emphasizes the importance of proper citation and referencing. It advises researchers to familiarize themselves with different citation styles and to always give credit where it's due. Additionally, it suggests keeping detailed notes during the research process to avoid unintentional plagiarism and legality.
That's practical advice. Anything specific about the role of mentors and supervisors?
The document highlights the crucial role of mentors and supervisors in guiding their students. They should educate their mentees about the ethical aspects of research and provide resources to help them understand plagiarism and how to avoid it. Supervisors are also responsible for reviewing their students' work for originality before submission, plagiarism, and legality.
It sounds like a collaborative effort is necessary to uphold these standards.
Absolutely. It's about creating a culture of integrity and accountability within the academic community. The document also touches on the responsibilities of publishers and editors in ensuring the originality of submitted manuscripts. They should implement stringent review processes and use plagiarism detection tools, plagiarism, and legality.
It's clear that everyone has a part to play in this. Did the document talk about any specific technologies or tools used to detect plagiarism?
Yes, it mentions several tools like Turnitin, Authenticate, and Grammarly. These tools can scan documents for similarities with existing texts and highlight potential instances of plagiarism. The use of such tools is highly recommended to maintain academic integrity, plagiarism, and legality.
**** Using these tools can definitely help in early detection and prevention of plagiarism. They can catch similarities that might otherwise go unnoticed.
That's true. Did the document address any other forms of academic dishonesty apart from plagiarism?
Yes, it covered a range of unethical practices in academia, including data fabrication, falsification, and misrepresentation. These practices are equally serious and can undermine the credibility of research. The document emphasizes the need for researchers to adhere to ethical standards at all stages of their work.
Ethical research is indeed the cornerstone of credible academia. Were there any specific policies mentioned about how institutions should handle these other forms of dishonesty?
The document suggests that institutions should have clear policies and guidelines addressing all forms of academic dishonesty. These policies should outline the procedures for reporting, investigating, and penalizing unethical behavior. It also recommends regular training sessions for students and faculty on research ethics and integrity.
It seems comprehensive. Did the document talk about the impact of plagiarism on the individual and the institution?
Yes, it did. On an individual level, plagiarism can tarnish a person's reputation and career. For institutions, it can lead to a loss of credibility, decreased trust from the public and academic community, and potential legal issues. Maintaining high ethical standards is essential for the integrity and reputation of both individuals and institutions.
Definitely. It's important to take these issues seriously. Did the document mention any support systems for those accused of plagiarism?
Yes, it recommends that institutions provide support systems, including access to legal advice and counseling. This is to ensure that the rights of the accused are protected and that the process is fair and unbiased. The aim is to handle accusations with sensitivity and due process.
That's a balanced approach. It's crucial to support all parties involved while maintaining integrity. Is there anything else that stood out to you in the document?
One notable point is the emphasis on education and awareness. The document stresses the importance of educating students, researchers, and faculty about plagiarism and its consequences from the very beginning of their academic journey. Regular workshops and seminars on research ethics are recommended to keep everyone informed and vigilant.
Education is key to prevention. It sounds like the document provides a thorough framework for understanding and addressing plagiarism and academic dishonesty.
It does. It's a comprehensive guide that highlights the importance of ethics in research, the severe consequences of plagiarism, and the collaborative effort required to maintain academic integrity. It underscores that preventing plagiarism is not just about punitive measures, but also about fostering an environment where original thought and proper attribution are valued.
That's a really holistic approach. Prevention through education, support for those accused, and clear consequences for violations all seem like necessary components.
Exactly. The document also stresses the role of technology in detecting plagiarism, but it warns that reliance on software alone is not enough. Critical evaluation by knowledgeable individuals is equally important to distinguish between legitimate use and potential misuse of sources.
Right, because software might flag something that is actually properly cited or common knowledge. but a person can make that distinction.
Precisely. The document encourages academic institutions to balance technology with human judgment to effectively manage plagiarism cases. It also emphasizes the importance of clear communication regarding what constitutes plagiarism and the importance of maintaining ethical standards in research.
It sounds like this document is an essential read for anyone involved in academia. Thanks for breaking it down for me.
You're welcome. It's definitely a valuable resource for understanding the multifaceted nature of plagiarism and the importance of ethics in academic work. Everyone in the academic community should be familiar with these guidelines to help maintain a culture of integrity and originality.
Absolutely. I'll make sure to go through the document in detail. This conversation has given me a much better understanding of the complexities involved.
I'm glad it helped. If you have any more questions as you read through it, feel free to reach out. It's crucial that we all stay informed and uphold these standards in our work.
Let's talk about research misconduct, specifically focusing on plagiarism, fabrication, and falsification.
Sure, I know plagiarism is a big issue in academia, but can you explain it in more detail?
Plagiarism is the appropriation of another person's ideas, processes, results, or words without giving appropriate credit. It's a form of intellectual theft. For example, if someone takes the ideas or results from another researcher and publishes them as their own work, that's plagiarism.
That sounds pretty straightforward. What about fabrication? How does that differ?
Fabrication is the intentional act of making up data or results and recording or reporting them. For instance, in the social sciences, it could involve a researcher completing a questionnaire for a fictitious subject that was never interviewed. In the biological sciences, it might involve creating a dataset for an experiment that was never actually conducted.
I see. So fabrication is about creating false data. What about falsification?
Falsification involves manipulating research materials, equipment, or processes, or changing or omitting data or results without scientific or statistical justification. This can include altering data to change the variances in the dataset, misrepresenting statistical analysis results, or even modifying experimental procedures in a study notebook.
So falsification is more about altering existing data, while fabrication is about creating false data from scratch.
Exactly. Both are serious forms of research misconduct, but they involve different actions. Plagiarism, on the other hand, can also include citation plagiarism, where someone fails to appropriately credit other or prior discoverers, giving an improper impression of priority.
That makes sense. Are there any common examples of these misconducts in research?
Yes, for example, in clinical research, fabrication could involve inserting a clinical note into the research record to indicate compliance with an element of the protocol that wasn't actually followed. Falsification might involve altering the dates or experimental procedures in the study notebook to fit the desired outcome.
It's disturbing to think about how these actions can affect the integrity of research.
Absolutely. That's why understanding and addressing these issues is crucial for maintaining the credibility and ethical standards of academic and scientific research.
So, I've been reading about plagiarism and its different forms. It's quite a broad topic.
Absolutely. Plagiarism is a serious issue in academia and other fields. What specific aspects were you looking into?
Well, I found that there are several types of plagiarism, each with its own nuances. For instance, the document I read outlined 10 common types of plagiarism, ranked by the severity of intent.
Interesting. What are these types?
Here are a few. Clone. This is when someone submits another person's work word for word as their own. Control-C. It involves copying significant portions of text from a single source without alterations. Find. Replace. This type involves changing keywords and phrases, but retaining the essential content of the source. Remix. Paraphrasing from multiple sources to fit them together. Recycle. This one is particularly intriguing. It's when someone borrows generously from their previous work without citation, often called self-plagiarism. Hybrid. Combining perfectly cited sources with copied passages without citation. Mashup. Mixing copied material from multiple sources. 404 error, including citations to non-existent or inaccurate information about sources. Aggregator, properly citing sources but the paper contains almost no original work. Retweet, properly citing sources but relying too closely on the text's original wording.
That's quite comprehensive. You mentioned self-plagiarism. What does that entail?
Self-plagiarism is when an author reuses their own previously written work or data in a new written work without proper citation. It's a bit controversial because some argue that since it's the author's own work, it shouldn't count as plagiarism. However, it's generally frowned upon because it can mislead readers and infringe on publishers' copyrights.
I see. So, even if it's your own work, you need to cite it if you use it again?
Exactly. The ethics of self-plagiarism are significant, especially in academic publishing, where originality is paramount. It's crucial to avoid giving the impression that new research or new content has been created when it hasn't.
That makes sense. It's important to maintain integrity in research and writing. Were there any other aspects discussed regarding ethical issues and their consequences?
Yes, the document also touched on the consequences of plagiarism, which can be quite severe. These include destroyed reputations, loss of jobs, legal repercussions, and even monetary fines. It's a serious offense that can have long-lasting effects on one's career and personal life.
Definitely. Thanks for sharing this information. It's a good reminder to always give proper credit and maintain transparency in our work.
Absolutely. It's essential for upholding the standards and trustworthiness of any field, especially in research and academia.
I've been diving deeper into the document, and it covers various aspects of ethics and research. Want to discuss them?
Sure, let's go through it. What are the main subdivisions of ethics it talks about?
There are 4 main areas of ethics in research. Human ethics. This covers ethical issues related to human subjects in research, including medical and social research. Animal ethics. This pertains to the ethical treatment of animals in research. Environmental ethics concerns the impact of research on the environment. Publication ethics focuses on ethical practices in the dissemination of research findings, like avoiding plagiarism and ensuring proper attribution.
That's comprehensive. What responsibilities do authors have according to the document?
Authors have several key responsibilities. Originality. They must ensure their work is original and properly cite sources. Accuracy. They need to report their findings accurately and honestly. Transparency. Authors should disclose any potential conflicts of interest. Integrity. It's crucial to adhere to ethical guidelines throughout the research and publication process.
Those are crucial for maintaining trust in research. What types of ethical violations are there?
The document lists several types of ethical violations. Plagiarism, using someone else's work without proper attribution. Fabrication, making up data or results. Falsification, manipulating research materials, equipment, or processes, or changing data. Duplicate submission, submitting the same manuscript to more than one journal simultaneously. Improper authorship, not giving credit to those who contributed to the research. Conflict of interest, failing to disclose relationships or financial interests that could affect the research.
It's alarming how many ways ethics can be violated. What are the consequences of these ethical violations?
The consequences can be quite severe and vary depending on the violation. Reputational damage, loss of credibility and respect in the academic community. Legal repercussions, fines and legal actions, especially in cases of severe misconduct like fabrication or plagiarism. Professional consequences, loss of job, research funding, and the ability to publish in reputable journals. Personal consequences, emotional and mental stress, and sometimes even the end of one's academic career.
That's intense. It's clear that maintaining ethical standards is critical.
Absolutely. Ethical conduct ensures the integrity and reliability of research, which is fundamental for the advancement of knowledge and societal trust in scientific findings.
Hey, I've been reading about plagiarism and its implications. Did you know it can have serious legal ramifications?
Really? I thought it was mainly an academic issue. What kind of legal consequences are there?
Plagiarism is indeed an unethical conduct, but it can also lead to legal actions. For example, if someone uses another person's material without proper citation and reference, it can be considered copyright infringement. This is a civil wrong and can also attract criminal charges.
So, what exactly happens if someone is caught plagiarizing?
There are several consequences. Legally, the original author has the right to sue the plagiarist. This can lead to monetary repercussions, where the plagiarist may have to pay restitution. In some cases, plagiarism is deemed a criminal offense, which can lead to a prison sentence.
That sounds severe. But apart from the legal side, what are the ethical principles related to plagiarism?
Ethical principles in research and publication emphasize honesty, integrity, and respect for intellectual property. For instance, researchers are expected to honestly report data and results, avoid fabrication and falsification, and give proper credit to original authors. Sharing data and being open to criticism are also important ethical practices.
And how is plagiarism dealt with under Indian law?
In India, plagiarism is governed by the Copyright Act of 1957, specifically under Sections 57, 63, and 63A. Section 57 grants authors the special right to claim authorship of their works, which is a moral right. Section 63 considers infringement as a criminal offense, punishable by imprisonment for 6 months to 3 years and/or fines ranging from 50,000 to 2 lakh rupees. If the offense is repeated, the penalties increase.
Wow, the consequences are pretty serious in India too. So, it's not just an academic or professional issue, but a legal one as well.
Absolutely. The laws are quite strict to protect intellectual property and maintain the integrity of research and publication. It's crucial for anyone involved in creating or disseminating knowledge to understand and adhere to these ethical and legal standards to avoid serious repercussions.
Thanks for explaining. I'll definitely be more careful with citations and ensuring originality in my work.
No problem. It's always good to be informed about these things. It not only helps in avoiding legal trouble, but also ensures we contribute to a trustworthy and ethical academic environment.
Have you heard about the major plagiarism cases that have happened both in India and abroad?
Yes, there have been quite a few high-profile cases. In India, one notable case involved Kavi Viswanathan, a Harvard student whose debut novel How Opal Meta Got Kissed, Got Wild, and Got a Life was found to have several passages copied from other authors' works. The book was eventually pulled from the market.
I remember that. It was a big scandal. Any other cases in India?
Yes, there was also the case of Ramchandra Gandhi, a professor at Jawaharlal Nehru University, who was accused of plagiarizing in his academic work. Another case involved Dr. Laxmi Narayan Bhagat from Banaras Hindu University, whose doctoral thesis was found to have large sections copied from other sources.
Wow, these cases really highlight the issue. What about plagiarism cases abroad?
Internationally, one of the most famous cases involved Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. during a Boston University investigation. It was found that he had plagiarized portions of his doctoral thesis. Another significant case was that of Helen Keller, who was accused of plagiarism when she was a student, which caused quite a stir at the time.
That's interesting. Were there any consequences for these individuals?
Yes, the consequences varied. For example, Kavi Viswanathan's book was withdrawn, and her reputation was severely damaged. In Martin Luther King Jr.'s single-quote-s case, Boston University decided not to revoke his degree, but they attached a letter to his thesis stating that parts of it were not original. Helen Keller faced intense scrutiny, but she was eventually allowed to continue her studies.
It's clear that plagiarism can have serious repercussions. It's important to maintain integrity in academic and literary work to avoid these kinds of issues.